Hamas agrees to release all remaining hostages. Diddy Combs is sentenced to prison time. And Manchester police issue a tragic update on the synagogue terror attack. I'm Daily Wire executive editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Friday, October 3rd. This is Evening Wire. President Trump drew a red line for Hamas to accept his deal for peace in Gaza, and Hamas has responded. In a statement today, Hamas agreed to return all Israeli hostages, dead and alive, and to enter peace negotiations through mediators. The president announced the terms of an agreement from the Oval Office this afternoon. Earlier today, Trump said that if Hamas doesn't agree to a deal by Sunday, all hell will break loose. This is a developing story. Check dailywire.com for updates. Disgraced rapper Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to 50 months in prison. A jury convicted Combs of charges related to prostitution, but found him not guilty of charges linked to sex trafficking and racketeering. The presiding judge said a substantial sentence was needed to, quote, send a message to abusers and victims alike that exploitation and violence against women is met with real accountability.
The federal shutdown continues as the Senate convenes to vote on Democrat and Republican proposals to reopen the government. Neither proposal is expected to pass today. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he will send legislators home this weekend if the measures fail. The government will likely remain shut down into next week.
As the shutdown grinds on, the media battle over the narrative ratchets up. Over on CNN, left-leaning hosts are attempting to maintain the Democrat position that health care increases they're demanding will not go to illegal immigrants, but conservatives like contributor Scott Jennings say that's just not true. Here's one combative exchange between Jennings and host Caitlin Collins.
Can I say one thing, which is that people who are in the country illegally cannot get these subsidies that we're talking about?
Sure they can.
No, they can't.
No, they can't. It's federal law, Scott,
who do you think pays when they go to the emergency room? It's the Medicaid
Scott,
emergency program.
Going to the emergency room is not getting an Obamacare subsidy.
You guys are conflating. You guys are conflating these issues. You're conflating these issues.
And you're being dishonest with
the subsidies are a separate issue. The Medicaid program cuts are a different thing.
Right, but I'm talking about subsidies.
And the Obamacare stuff are two different issues. And I said the subsidies may get negotiated over time, but what Democrats want to do is roll back what the Republican Medicaid reforms were. They want, look, I don't understand why everybody's so mad. For time immemorial, Democrats have argued that it's good. It's good for illegal immigrants to get Medicaid. Every candidate for president in 2020 raised their hand for it. In the big, beautiful bill debate, they argued it was good policy. I can't believe there's an about face in the Democratic Party on it today.
Hold on. I got a question for Karen, but Scott, I will say, people who are in the country illegally also can't get Medicaid.
Sure they can. Sure they can.
They can't get Medicaid.
They also can't register to vote. They also can't register to vote, but we just found one in Maryland who was running the Des Moines school system.
Oh my God, one!
I mean, I'm telling you, you guys say these things can't happen, and then they happen.
Scott, but I'm just saying it's federal law. And
you can run cover. You can run cover for it if you want, but they do get federal tax money. They get federal tax money.
Manchester police say that one of the two victims who died in the terror attack on a synagogue Thursday was likely shot by officers by accident. Daily Wire assistant editor Andy Valdez has more.
The two were reportedly behind the door, attempting to keep the attacker out of the synagogue. Officers fired on the attacker, killing him, but tragically hitting the two innocent Jewish worshippers as well. The other victim, who died as a result of the attack, is believed to have been murdered by the attacker. Others were seriously wounded. As CNN reports, many members of the Jewish community in Manchester said they felt like the attack was inevitable. Several local residents told the outlet that the people there were, quote, increasingly talking about moving to Israel as they no longer felt safe in the UK.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered a full investigation led by Assistant AG Harmeet Dillon of the Portland Police Bureau. This follows the arrest last night of conservative journalist Nick Sorter after he was allegedly attacked by anti-ICE rioters. Sorter has been on the ground in Portland documenting the riots there. After he was arrested last night, he told Fox News' Bill Malugin that he's been charged with disorderly conduct. He says he was getting video of protesters getting maced by federal agents when they then surrounded him, pushed him down into a flower bed, and then someone threw a punch. Nick told Malugin he swung back, missed, then walked over to a group of Portland PD. He says he was then shocked to be arrested by them, Malugin reports. Assistant AG Dillon commented on the arrest on X, saying, quote, Portland, it's FO time, buckle up.
The Department of Homeland Security told the Daily Wire that ICE agents were targeted in two separate car attacks during enforcement operations in the Chicago area on Wednesday. Reporter Zach Jewell has the Daily Wire exclusive.
Illegal aliens weaponize their vehicles in deliberate attempts to ram and injure agents making arrests in Bensenville and Norridge, Illinois. The attacks occurred as ICE continues to carry out Operation Midway Blitz, a massive illegal alien crackdown targeting the Chicago area that has yielded over 900 arrests. Assistant DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told the Daily Wire, quote, "Thankfully, none of our law enforcement was killed because of these deranged criminals' attacks. This is exactly what happens when Governor Pritzker, Mayor Johnson, and other sanctuary politicians demonize ICE and encourage illegal aliens to resist law enforcement."
New York mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani wants to phase out the city's popular and competitive Gifted and Talented program for early elementary students. On Thursday, Mamdani proposed eliminating the accelerated learning programs for kindergarten as soon as next fall, with first and second grade programs rolled back in the future. The renowned gifted programs are fiercely competitive and have been blasted as racist by progressives because they're filled with mostly white and Asian students. The plan has angered parents of low and middle income students who are counting on excellent public school opportunities. Mamdani also proposed stripping the NYPD commissioner's authority to discipline officers, instead granting that power to a civilian oversight board, which the mayor would have a hand in picking. The largest NYPD union warned that that move would effectively be the end of policing in this city.
Elon Musk has officially become the world's first half-trillionaire after reaching the $500 billion mark this past Wednesday. The milestone was driven by Tesla's surging stock price, as well as rising growth for his other ventures, including SpaceX and xAI. Musk is now indisputably the world's richest individual, far outpacing rivals such as Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Former Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad was poisoned last month in an apparent assassination attempt. A human rights group reported that Assad, who currently lives in Russia, was rushed to a hospital for treatment and was eventually released. This is the second purported attempt on Assad's life since December, when he moved to Russia after being deposed. While the new Syrian government has insisted that Assad be extradited, Russia has so far refused.
The FDA approved a new generic abortion pill earlier this week, drawing ire from pro-life advocates. Daily Wire culture reporter Megan Basham has more.
On Tuesday, the FDA approved Avita Solutions to distribute mifepristone, a drug that is used to end the life of an unborn child in up to 63% of all abortions. The fatal drug has been increasingly available after the Biden administration allowed it to be mailed by doctors. In a post on X, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri called the approval shocking. North Carolina Representative Mark Harris questioned the move, pointing out that the FDA recently announced a, quote, top-to-bottom safety review of mifepristone. An HHS official told the Daily Wire that the FDA has, quote, very limited discretion in deciding whether to approve a generic drug, and that the HHS secretary must approve generic drugs if they are identical to brand name drugs already on the market.
Former New York Times journalist Bari Weiss is writing a remarkable comeback story as she's expected to be named editor-in-chief of CBS News. The new title comes as Paramount buys Weiss's outlet, The Free Press, for $150 million. Weiss left the New York Times under controversial circumstances 5 years ago, citing bullying by colleagues and an illiberal environment among her reasons for leaving. She then founded The Free Press and has become known and respected as an independent voice in the media.
President Trump says he's weighing giving Americans a piece of the tariff revenue in the form of a $1,000 to $2,000 tax rebate. This comes as the Supreme Court weighs whether the president had the authority to impose global tariffs to begin with. Before committing to that dividend, the president says the first priority for the tariff revenue is paying down the national debt. According to Fox Business, the U.S. has raked in $215 billion so far this year from global tariffs. However, questions remain about what would happen to those funds if the High Court finds the levies were unconstitutional.
A massive explosion rocked LA last night when the Chevron refinery in El Segundo went up in flames. Onlookers miles away describe hearing and feeling the blast, then seeing a mushrooming plume of flame and smoke on the horizon. The explosion occurred at about 9:30 p.m. local time, and flames were mostly contained by Friday morning. Miraculously, there were no reported injuries, and El Segundo officials stated that residents are not at risk. The now non-functional refinery is the largest on the West Coast, producing 40% of all vehicle and jet fuel used in Southern California. Price hikes on gas throughout the area are expected as a result.
All right, those are your drive home updates today. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it this morning, we covered some major stories, including the White House threatening dramatic action as the shutdown hits day 3, a terrorist killing Jewish worshipers in Manchester, and the political controversy surrounding Hollywood's hottest movie. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with a weekend edition of Morning Wire.